become who we want to be as individuals, and at the end of the day, that's going to help us be a successful offense.
Man-to-man, one-on-one coverage because the safety rolls to Jefferson's side.
Jordan Love hit me up the night of the draft, just congratulating me, let me know it's time to work. A.J. Dillon was open arms.
Von Rock caught a ball with his thighs. We didn't even talk about that.
It was more of with his ass.
If he throws a good ball, this is a running, catching touchdown untouched.
Like, KP does like these flips after every win, and I'm like just waiting for him to do his flip.
To know that we still love each other, that's what football brings us.
Across the safety's face.
You can tune in anywhere that you guys follow us on social media. Welcome to the Practice Squad Pod, episode 70, covering week 14 of football. Does the Practice Squad, did the song sound like slowed down and weird to you on your side, or was that
a little slow-mo? Kind of liked it.
I kind of liked it. Maybe I'll get like a lo-fi version of it. Yeah.
Some of the best songs ever in history were created by accident, John. You know that?
Hey, slow it down, throw some reverb on it. It becomes, a chiller song.
You never know. You never know. You could have a hit in the making.
Exactly. I actually already started writing album 2. Album 1 isn't even out yet. Post a little reel about that. If you guys like music, you should follow me on my personal. I'll take the time to plug it right now because I'm very busy in a music release cycle, so it's a good time to hop on the bandwagon. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about football-wise, and we actually wanted to do, a little segment, another little top 3 draft, if you will. We did one. What did we do? Most iconic players of all time.
Most iconic players.
Yeah,
I think my list smoked yours, so you better bring your A game here on this one.
Well, so Mark and I took different angles, right? Like I picked the top 3 touchdown celebrations, but I tried to keep all of mine more recent for the most part. And Mark and I went back and forth, and so I think Mark's going to have some more classic ones. I'm going to have some of my favorites just from the past 2 or 3 years. But I think you'll be on board with my list in that context. So without further ado, let's go through our top 3 touchdowns.
Do I get first pick this time?
You can take first pick, sure.
Okay. So for our best touchdown celebrations of all time draft list, top 3, me against John. My first pick, I'm going to go with Joe Horn of the Saints, hiding the phone underneath the field goal, scoring, getting it, using the prop, and calling.
I like that. And in the vein of props, I got the Dallas Cowboys playing whack-a-mole in the Salvation Army bucket 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's
pretty
not
good
bad.
One.
That's
Okay,
not bad.
2 for you.
Chad Johnson or Ocho Cinco using the pylon as a putter and putting the football.
Yeah, you could do an entire list of just Chad Johnson. We might have to do that at some point. For me is Jalen Waddle's iconic Waddle. It's just too good. It's funny. And I think right now the Dolphins actually have some of the best in general touchdown celebrations.
Okay. A lot of recency. I'm going to go with, I had a lot of issues with my last one because we cut it to 3, but my third one is going to be Randy Moss mooning the Packers crowd at Lambeau.
It's iconic. Can't deny that one. And then same, still recent, and I think Mark's going to be upset about this one. 3 for me is Aiden Hutchinson just punting the football into the stands. That shit was absolutely electric. I went nuts when he did that. You have an honorable mention. I think I have an honorable mention as well.
I do have an honorable mention. Terrell Owens standing on the Dallas Star as a 49er with the arms out. Absolute sign of disrespect, ultimate disrespect, going to the midfield and doing that. The second time he tried to do it, someone charged him. So that's
honorable mention for me. Ocho Cinco making another appearance. The proposal, the celebration at the cheerleader.
Proposing to the cheerleader.
Which, again, we need to do just a top 5 list of just Ocho Cinco celebrations. Marshawn Lynch is another one we could probably do that with too.
There's so many. We'll have to do more in this in the offseason. But those are our top 3 touchdown celebrations in a short form. We'll do a full longer list this offseason. Maybe a full episode on it. I mean, shit, there's just so much you can do.
That's as we slowly what is it? It's the worst May, June. there is nothing to talk about in football.
Yeah,
So
there's
what we need
nothing.
to do
There's
is,
definitely some slow episodes, but we're gonna make sure that time of year is still full of football.
like film breakdown of like historic games, top 5 lists that go a little bit more in depth. Like and this actually is a great segue to our next topic before we actually start recapping the games for this week. Mark has had a theory that he's actually been talking about for over a year now, and it keeps showing up. And so we decided, maybe we should actually like do our due diligence and kind of explain what we think is going on. And that theory is that laterals in football are going to become much more than just a last play of the half, last play of the game play. They are going to turn into an entirely different genre of play design and offensive scheming. And so Mark has put together a couple of examples, but Mark, I want to give you the floor as an offensive-minded coach to explain why you think at the NFL level things are going to start trending more and more this way over time.
Yeah, so it's been happening it's already happening, right? The change of offensive football to having planned laterals is already happening. We've seen it happen with Travis Kelce in the play that got called back on Sunday, pitching it to Kadarius Toney. Kelce has done that against Detroit in 2019. We've seen him do it in the AFC Championship last year against the Cincinnati Bengals a couple times. One failed, one was close to being successful. We've seen the Lions do it against the Packers on Sunday night last year to help clinch the game, throwing a screen to Amon-Ra, who pitched it to DeAndre Swift to help get closer to the first down. And we saw the Chargers do it. Kellen Moore called it a few weeks ago, a crossing route to Keenan Allen, who caught it and then threw it out to Austin Eckler on 3rd and long to get the first down. We've seen a lot of other coaches do it as well. Those are just kind of the top 5 or 6, that I could remember off the top of my head. And every time I see it happen as an offensive-minded coach, I can't help myself. I love it. And it's so hard to defend. And defenses don't practice against that right now. We've seen it, obviously, end of half, end of game scenarios forever because there's no risk at that point. You need to get points at the end of the game to tie or win. So you have, obviously, if a fumble happens, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the half, we've seen a couple hook and ladders and stuff. Boise State obviously did it against Oklahoma to help win a game in that bowl game way back when. But it's happening. I mean, it's happening on normal scripted down and distances, 2nd down and long, 1st down and 10, 3rd and long. It's happening. It's happening. Some of the best offensive minds, Ben Johnson, Andy Reid, Kellen Moore, they're doing it. And I want to show some of these clips and kind of show you why it's so hard to defend.
To get started, we'll see what Travis Kelce himself has to say about it, because he's kind of the guy that's been doing it at a much higher clip than everybody else at this point.
And make sure this volume is up, because this is an interesting clip from Pardon My Take where he's talking about it. This was obviously a year ago. He had already pitched the ball a few times at this point, but this is obviously very relevant now.
You're like the only player that does this on a consistent basis. You always look for that last-minute lateral before you get tackled.
Yeah.
You're always – I'm on the record saying that shit's going to change football once more players start to do that. There's so many times where I can tell you're thinking about it, and you decide not to at the last minute, but when you pull it off, it usually works.
Yeah. I'm like 50-50 right now. For at least I haven't turned the ball over yet doing it.
Yeah.
So it hasn't completely fucked me. But I just feel like it's the most underused rule in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, being able to lateral the ball, get it out of your hands so another guy can take off. I mean, shit.
Yeah, the way that tackling's coach at the NFL level, it's you swarm to the ball. That means that your guys are going to be open.
Yeah, but it's just testing the waters is the hard part, because if you don't fucking get it, or if like it's not a huge gain, like you did it, let's say I lateral it, a guy catches it and gets like 2 extra yards. It's just like, why the fuck did you just risk the ball? Turning the ball over for it. So it's like trying to balance that and at the same time making sure that everybody's always ready for the ball. Because
you ever get any shit from that, like from Coach Reid? Is he like, why are you doing this?
Don't fucking do it again. It's one of those, like, the first time I did it was the Lions in 2017,
which we have that clip.
17 or 18. And I pitched it to LaShawn McCoy, Shady.
Yeah.
And Shady took off for an extra like 20, 25 yards. And I come to the sideline, and Coach Reid just kind of looked at him. I'm like, kind of like staring from a distance, like, oh shit, is he gonna fucking give me the eye? Like I know I shouldn't have fucking did that. And he comes up to me after the game and he goes, imagine if we did that every play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like
And so I thought the part that was most interesting about that clip was him saying, because this is true, right? What is every defender in all of football taught all the time? Swarm to the ball. Everybody, ball, all
You're
the time.
never, ever, as a defender, at least in today's game, thinking about the lateral. Once the ball is crossed the line of scrimmage, you are not thinking about the pitch unless it's end of half, end of game scenarios. Then you might expect a pitch. But in regular down and distances, nobody is thinking that. Nobody's planning for that. So he has a point. And this was that clip that from that episode of Pardon My Take was about a year ago. So, some of these laterals have already happened, but a lot of stuff this year, you're seeing it from more teams, not just Travis Kelce doing it, not just Andy Reid, because it's a copycat league. We say that all the time. Good coaches, innovative coaches come up with new stuff, but the smartest coaches copycat. They steal stuff from the smart coaches because if it worked for one coach, it probably works for a different coach and a different
sure
offense.
Enough, right? And we're going to just go through all the different versions of this that we've seen in the past couple years alone.
Yeah.
So as Mark was saying, Justin Herbert,
pitching
Allen,
it.
Austin Eckler.
And the cool thing you'll see is all of these laterals, they're different in their own way, right? So this Chargers lateral, it's third and long, right? The situation matters. It's third long near midfield. They understand that the defense will be willing to give up a short completion because it's 3rd and 17. They literally teach defenses, drop everybody back, let them catch it, tackle them short of the sticks, force them to punt, right? Get off the field on 3rd down. So knowing this, Kellen Moore designs a short crossing route for Keenan Allen, who catches it with ease, no one near him, because that's what they knew was going to happen. When that happens is, like John said,
everybody
start to swarm
bites,
to him,
crashes down, yep.
and he flicks it out, planned, to the other rail route over to Austin Eckler, who gashes up the sideline and gets to the sticks.
Dude, I'll say it again, too.
Very creative.
You should not be allowed to lose games in that Chargers uniform. Those things are so sick. I know some people
They haven't won a game in that uniform.
I know.
They're like 0-5.
It's unreal. They look so sweet.
So there's Kellen Moore doing it. This is the most recent one, the one that got called back, the one that will not actually count in the history books. This was the craziest play, John, I've ever seen live, besides maybe the kick six in the Iron Bowl.
And we're gonna talk about this at length when we get to this game and the recap. But
this play, I kid you not, John, I was watching it on my phone. We were parked. I was with my dad in the car. We were picking up my sister. And I turned to him and I said, oh my God, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And he goes, well, let me see it. And I was waiting for a replay and they didn't show the replay, so I had to go find it on Twitter. Given the circumstances of this play is what makes it so wild, right? So he catches this ball. They're down 3 at the time. Kelce gets to the 10-yard line, so they're in field goal range to tie the game, and they still have a minute left, so they're probably going to score and win the game 2 plays later, and probably be better off because there'll only be 20 seconds left at that point.
Right.
But Kelce, being the wild guy that he is and having the freedom because of how great he is, and that's what makes Andy Reid so special, is he allows his guys to make plays like this, giving them freedom to do so. He sees Tony, who's already pouting about getting held and not getting the ball earlier in this play. Like, he thought Mahomes should have thrown it to him, and he thought he should have drew a flag because he gets hit by 2 different Bills players. So he's literally already pouting. And out of nowhere, the ball, he chooses to throw it across the field. I've never seen anything like this in this kind of circumstance. Like, this is not a desperation play. He doesn't need to do this. This is just a heads-up play. Travis Kelce's a former quarterback, and it's one of the best plays I've ever seen a player make in an NFL game.
It's absolutely insane, and as Mark said, it won't count in the history books. And my take on it is this is some of the most crybaby shit I've ever seen from the Kansas City Chiefs. Period. And
we'll get into that when we get to that game. Yeah. But I want to say too that just because that play doesn't count, don't think that it doesn't inspire offensive change.
So sick.
Don't think that that's not going to be a part of it. So this is one of the first ones that people can remember Kelce doing. Mahomes makes an incredible throw. He catches it. He knows he's a little bit short of the sticks. He's falling down, and he sees McCoy right behind him, so he just catches it and kind of flicks it to him. This is similar to and we don't have a clip of this, but we've shown it in our episode with Coach John Bonamigo, Central Michigan's coach. When they scored on their Hail Mary to upset Oklahoma State, it was a similar play, right? That was end of game, but the player caught it, pitched it before his butt hit the ground to another player who ran in. This is similar, but it's not a desperation play, right? So that's what makes these pitches so different, that hook and ladder. This is a planned play call. There's no doubt in my mind. You can't convince me. You can watch this clip several times. This is in the AFC Championship against the Cincinnati Bengals. He runs a curl route, a hook route, catches it. McKinnon runs a rail route up the sideline. And once the ball's thrown, you can see all the defenders leave McKinnon and come to Kelce to put the ball down. And he plans to pitch that. There's no doubt in my mind that that was intentional. If you notice the situation, it's 2nd and 11. So, long yardage. Everyone's thinking, okay, give up a short completion, force 3rd down. And again, this is Andy Reid choosing to purposely call this. This is where the future of it is. Not players just choosing to do it out of nowhere, which will start to happen maybe as well, but planned play calls like the Chargers one, like this one, and then of course this last one we'll show you, which is the Lions doing it, Ben Johnson doing it. This is another one that failed. You can see, do you see that? If you watch this clip, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of pause it right after he catches it. So he catches this ball. The check down is number 83 here at the bottom of the screen. He's looking for the ball. You can tell that he's not going to block somebody because it's planned. Again, the second time in that game where Andy Reid called a play like that, where Kelsey has the option downfield to pitch it. You can see it the way Kelsey's holding the ball too and looking.
Right, yeah, he's totally
Now he chose not to pitch that one.
Right.
And you notice on that one it was 3rd and goal. So again, understanding they're willing to give up a short completion, Andy Reid, offensive genius, Ben Johnson, a younger offensive genius, doing this last year to help clinch the game. This is a screen pass to Amon-Ra. They pull Penei Sewell out in space and then lead block for DeAndre Swift, who catches the pitch right after the screen's caught.
By
This
the
is
way,
a planned
they
play.
continue to do the pitch part's, obviously really impressive, but the fact that they know how athletic Penei Sewell is and they will just put him wherever on the field. They did that so many times so far this season, and
that's the beautiful part of this. That's the beautiful part of this is it's unexpected. Right, and it you can see defenses don't know how to react to it because
and then you have
it's
the
so
best
new.
right tackle in the NFL just right there lead blocking for a
exactly.
pitch.
It's so new. It's John. There's very few times in modern day football where offensive coaches come up with an idea or a concept that toys with defensive-minded coaches for years. This is one of the ones that's going to do it. That out motion that the Dolphins started running with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle this year that now everyone's doing is another thing that's throwing fits for defenses. This constant battle of this chess match between offensive geniuses and defensive geniuses in football, and it trickles down from NFL. I mean, shit, dude, Andy Reid and Mike McDaniel, they steal ideas from high school coaches. If they see a high school coach call something creative enough, they'll take it and they'll put it in their playbook. And it goes from NFL down and it goes from youth football up. I mean, we've seen the trick play like Johnny Manziel went to the sideline pretending to get a call, and then they snap the ball and he runs a go route. No one's guarding him. That happened at youth football. Like that was little kids did that, and someone saw it and said, okay, Mike McDaniel said, we'll do it with Johnny football. Why not? So it's really exciting. It gets me fired up as a football fan and as an offensive coach to see how it's changing the game and where the game's going. And don't get me wrong, like it's risky, but I think at times, like Travis Kelce said in that clip, it is worth the risk, and I think you can get a huge reward on that risk if executed. And you're seeing teams execute this at a higher level because it's being practiced. It's not just like willy-nilly, I'm going to just do it, right? Those are the most exciting plays when you don't expect it, but the planned ones are working pretty well, and I think we'll see more and more and more of that moving forward in the football future.
I definitely agree with you. And, it kind of makes you wonder, right? I mean, football, relatively speaking, is a young sport. Like how much more untapped potential is there on the offensive side of the ball? I think, defensively, there's so many things you can do, but you talk about these laterals and things like that. Like, I think the more athletic and football smart that we're getting out of NFL players, like, I'm sure a lot of people know this. A lot of the guys that you're seeing on the offensive side of the ball have played quarterback at some point in their life because they, at one point, were the best athlete on their team. Like, if you're at an NFL level, that's just kind of the case. And you mentioned Travis Kelce playing quarterback. Like, one of the reasons why he feels empowered to take that risk that he did in this game was because of the fact that he has an arm. He kind of knows what to look for. Like, that's something that Travis Kelce can execute on. But the thing is that there are dozens and dozens of former quarterbacks in the NFL. And so you can just continue to get more and more ridiculous with what you can have them do. And then, the defensive philosophy applied to the ball, if you start doing this frequently enough, like, can you really get away with that? And
you
then
have to stand your guy. You have to guard your
guy.
guy even after the ball has been caught. It literally changes everything about how defenses coach.
Exactly. Which is
that's what makes it so empowering, though. That's what makes it so difficult to stop.
crazy.
Because if teams, you basically, I mean, everyone struggles, John. Like you see teams struggle with like the read option, for example, right, or triple option. You see teams struggle with that because you don't know which guy to defend, which guy to tackle, which guy's actually going to keep the ball. Is he going to pitch it? Is he going to keep it? Is he going to throw it? Like RPOs have become a huge thing. So you add the element of surprise down the field now, like past line of scrimmage. You add the element of option football down the field. You're changing the game. You're revolutionizing offensive football, and you are now taking another huge step ahead of defense. And defense always reacts, right? Defense, they don't innovate a ton. They have to react to the innovation, right? So when the forward pass was created, defense had to adjust. Okay. When guys got faster, defenses had to adjust. When guys got bigger and stronger and just hand the ball off and give it to the best athlete on the field, defenses had to adjust, right? I mean, you look at the history of football, it's always happened. This is the next thing that's going to cause defensive-minded coaches headaches, and they're going to have to find a way to adjust.
This just feels like an inherently different headache than any other headache that we've seen before. Because, again, the fly to the ball aspect, which is like defensive fundamentals, that's not even scheme. That's fundamentals. Now what? Everybody has to play on their man? All linebackers
like the whole play.
and corners have to
almost
be
like
play
basketball.
man?
Like basketball, like if you leave your man to help on defense, you got to get back to him, or someone else has to get to your guy. Like, is it going to be like that down the field now? Like that's where we could be going.
How ridiculous that is! Think
about how exciting that would be, how fun that would be. Think about how much more scoring you'd see.
You would see a lot more scoring,
and a lot more turnovers. It would just be really, really fun to see that. It excites me. I think it's really, really innovative stuff. And, the offensive coaches, when they see stuff like that, trust me, we will see another play like Kelsey made, and that one will count. Yeah, and Mark, I can't wait.
You might be identifying a much larger momentum shift in offensive game planning than you even recognize, right? Because you just pulled up 5 or 6 examples from the past, 4 years, maybe?
Yeah. Who knows what the most recent 2 years, but yeah. Right.
Who knows what that looks like 3 years from now, right? I mean, there might be.
It happens fast.
I know. And so
I've been telling my dad, listen, my dad's the head coach. I'm one of the assistant offensive coaches for him. I coach high school ball. And I've been trying to convince him to do stuff like this for a couple of years. He won't let me, right? Because of the risk reward thing. But I will continue to fight, and I will continue to show him clips and evidence.
When every person on the field is like the most freakish athlete that, growing up, they were the best, right? They were the Parker Picos on every single team that they played on and stuff like that. And for anybody,
it works better. But I mean, honestly, John, it just takes two. It just takes 2 good athletes. Honestly, it just takes one good athlete and a guy who has football IQ that you trust enough with the ball in his hands to make a smart decision and not turn the ball over. Really, that's all it takes, because you know what look you're gonna get most of the time. Like when Kellen Moore called that, Keenan Allen, I don't know if he's a former quarterback or not. I mean, he probably just throws an okay ball. Doesn't require a great pass. I mean, as long as it's a safe pass.
And here's the crazy thing too, right? One part that's different about Canadian football than American football that blows regular football fans' minds is the motion thing, right? Like you can
go forward and.
Yeah, you can have forward motion like as far back before the play as you want and be running full speed by the time you get the handoff. Guess what this opens up people to be able to do is have just kind of what Eckler did in that play. He was running sprint full speed by the time
and no one was over there. Yeah. I mean, and again, John, a lot of it doesn't have to be a far pass. Like the DeAndre Swift clip we showed, that was a pitch and that was a pitch and catch and then pitch. Like Amon-Ra caught it and just flicked it right back to him. That doesn't require any athleticism. That's just being savvy, So most receivers in the league could do what Amon-Ra did there. That's not like a specialty thing. So there's different ways to do it. We've seen it, and it's exciting, man. It is exciting, and it's changing football. It's just really fun to see one play change the course of play calling, period. It's going to affect everything moving forward because that play happened, and it doesn't even count.
You got me sold on it. That I think it's just the start of this becoming a very common thing that we see. Because why not? Everybody's so freaking athletic.
I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
All right. So without further ado, we can get into recapping the game. So Mark and I are recording this Monday night. We're trying to get the long form episode out a little bit earlier, so the game recaps are a little fresher, and so we will find out what the actual results of the Green Bay Giants game are and the Dolphins Titans game are. I have the Packers game pulled up on my screen. Would it be smart of me to get the Dolphins one and you keep the Packers one up? And
Sure.
so we can just kind of give scoring updates as that goes on. But to start, Patriots at Steelers. We were expecting this to be low scoring. This is like the most points either team has scored in a minute, I guess, which is not saying much, but the over did hit. So congrats.
I'll put it out there. John and I's best bets, no good last week. We'll be better.
We were really bad last week.
We were really bad. And honestly, I'm embarrassed by it. I think I might be cursed again by the Broncos after I picked them. Now I'm on a losing streak. I went on an absolute heat streak. If you haven't been listening to our recent episodes, I went on an absolute heater.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 38-19 still. It's a great record. If you want to win money, you still absolutely should ride with my picks. But, yeah, I went on a bad losing streak here this week. I picked the Broncos last week to win. That kind of set me down a 2-week losing streak. I'm going to get back on the winning wagon here this week for sure. But, yeah, this week's not a lot to be proud of. But Patriots-Steelers game, John, I mean, an under set at 30, you'd think that would have been an absolute garbage offensive game. They actually hit the over in the first half, and the Steelers are dead.
Yeah, well, they're really struggling without Pickett, and you can say and honestly, I feel like this was a return to just Matt Canada style offensive football. Like it's same frustrations, right? Inability to use your weapons, inability to utilize things like crazy concepts, like using the middle of the field more often, stretching out defenses. Like you're just not seeing that much. And then also, I mean, is Zappy better than Mac Jones officially? Like, what's
I think so. But John, you know what? You could talk about the Steelers' offense all you want. I mean, it's been up and down all year. It's mostly been down. Their defense is one thing that they've hung their hat on with Mike Tomlin and T.J. Watt and the guys that they have. They gave up 21 points to the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
The New England Patriots in the previous week scored 0 points against the Chargers. So
the Chargers have been struggling defensively.
Last time I checked, this game was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah, so
Well,
I mean, that's my concern because that's the one thing that you're good at, and that wasn't good.
I think TJ Watt was concussed too, and I think that's a huge blow to the Steelers defense. They're an entirely different team when that guy's not on the field or not playing at 100%. So, I don't want to. I'm only basing that off of speculation that people posted, but get your bell rung, do some smelling salts, throw on a visor, not playing the same when you go back on the field, kind of seems like an interesting order of events. So not trying to sound the alarm too hard there, but I think that's part of the reason why the Steelers are struggling so much defensively is TJ Watt is one of those people that completely changes, how you game plan. Really.
He's a game breaker.
He is. Same thing with Max Crosby, right? I mean, that
yeah.
Literally.
There's only a few of those guys in the league. He's one of them. No doubt.
100%. Moving on to Texans Jets. So CJ Stroud missing both of his top receivers, and it showed in this game. Jets defense is very good in general, but they were absolutely having their way with the Texans. People were saying, well, okay, this is what Bryce Young's going through right now. He doesn't have any fast, athletic, top tier receivers to be throwing to, and he's struggling to develop. And sure enough, you take those away from CJ Stroud and things look a little different against a good defense, right?
Great defense, John. I mean, I think it's fair to say. Tough defense to go against. I mean, we said that when we talked about this game in our picks, this was a tough matchup for CJ Stroud. He also was concussed as well. So that didn't, when he left the game, that didn't help them either.
Right. At what point in the game did he go out? Was it third quarter?
It's towards the end, yeah, but still, I mean, he didn't look great before that. But my big takeaway was the Jets kind of tricked themselves out benching Zach Wilson because, you could look at some of the games the last few weeks and think if Zach Wilson had started, they probably win one or two of those games that they blew the last few weeks.
And what are they at now? 5-6?
Yeah, they're. I mean,
or something like that. 5-7.
Yeah, I think they're 5-7. So I don't know. Zach Wilson looked pretty damn. He looked pretty damn good, in this game. And by benching him the last few weeks, what the hell did that get you? I get the frustration and maybe give another guy a chance, but when you realized how bad your next guy in was, put Zach back in and just let him kind of, make some plays. He's gonna make some mistakes, but he gives you the best chance to win, clearly.
100%. And honestly, I think Salah caved to media pressure and outside pressure more than anything else, because at the end of the day, that's what he was saying this entire season. He's like, Zach puts us in the best position to win.
I think it was in-house pressure from ownership.
You think so? But
yeah,
I mean, I think Mark and I have been pretty consistent on what we think about 2023 Zach Wilson, and it's that the potential's there, and clearly he's lacking some development, but like he is a better quarterback with Aaron Rodgers in his ear, and you can win with him. I think at least enough to keep you guys in the playoff hunt, and you're definitely going to win with him more often than you're going to win with Boyle, obviously. So,
yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that was. I think that was. Yeah.
Unfortunately, and so it stinks because I think the Jets are, I don't know if they're mathematically out of playoff contention, but a lot of things have to bounce their way for them to be in it. It would essentially have to win out, and things would have to happen in their favor. So something to look out for. Because the AFC race, though, despite that, is very tight right now, and so it's not
very tight.
Possible. It's just saying it's highly improbable,
highly unlikely right now for them.
All right, Lions Bears. This game, as a Lions fan, was brutal. I felt like it was in our grasp in the third quarter, and then a series of things went horribly wrong, and then they just failed to recover. I think offensively they did not look good. Actually, there's stats to back that up. And I'm incredibly frustrated with Aaron Glenn's defensive game planning, because I think as the season has dragged on, he has made fewer and fewer adjustments to show that there are changes being done to improve this defense, and it is killing the Lions, literally. So,
John, I'm gonna get fired up about it in a second here.
We can take a look. I mean, great completion percentage, but I mean, we're talking Goff in his last 7 games. That's 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 6 fumbles. I mean, his turnover ratio is higher than the number of touchdowns he's thrown. The Lions are a team where your quarterback cannot be doing this, period. They are an elite offense if you are doing the fundamental stuff right, taking care of the football, taking up time of possession, all of that stuff. As soon as that stuff starts slipping and you get more into undisciplined football, shit like this starts happening really quick, and then every single game feels like you can't recover from. And so, Mark, I'll give you the floor because I know you have stuff to say. But you'll probably hear me in the highest agreement of frustration with the Lions than you've heard me all season. So I'm interested to hear what your perspective is.
Yeah, my perspective is the defense has been the problem basically since after week 1. I'm going to get on the offense first, and then I'm going to get in the defense, because the defense is my true anger. The offense is just I'm just going to basically talk about the offense for a short second here. The offense has one of the best offensive lines in football, and you probably have one of the best running back tandems in football. Get back to running the ball. Run the damn football. Stop getting cute with bullshit reverses, and those are all change-ups. We are doing those at way too high of a clip, okay? You don't need to do that shit. When you have the best offensive line in football, and you can move people around, and you have backs with speed and power and can make people miss, ride them. Ride those guys into it, then set up play action, which is what made Goff good the last year and a half anyway, is the running game setting him up with easy passing completions in play action. Right? That's what made Ben Johnson a great coordinator. That's what made Goff one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league statistically for most of the last year and a half. Get back to that formula. Take a few shots down the field to Jameson. Have some underneath routes to Laporte and Amon-Ra. That's your system. That will win you football games. That's what you were great at. Go back to that. So that's my offensive spiel. Way too much cute shit going on. Okay. Defensively, it's time to fire Aaron Glenn. This is an overdue thing. He doesn't make the adjustments needed. I don't want to hear excuses about injuries or anything like that. This defense has sucked since Aaron Glenn's been here. It has not been good. You could count on your hand how many good defensive game plan games he's called since he's been the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Okay, it's a problem. I'll highlight a couple that stood out to me. The 4th and 13 touchdown pass to DJ Moore.
So
inexcusable to
bad.
happen in the NFL. And a lot of people are like, oh, Jacobs got beat. It's like, yeah, Jacobs isn't a very good player, but as a defensive coordinator, you need to understand his weaknesses as a cornerback and not put him on an island with one of the better receivers in football and bring a free safety down to 10 yards. Where he's not helping over the top. That is a schematic error, John. The player obviously got beat, and so Jacobs, it's on you as well. But why would you put him in that position? You know he struggles with that. Why would you put him in that position on 4th and 13?
I honestly feel like they were too busy like bitching about the intentional grounding that didn't get called, that they literally didn't put like a serious formation in for the follow-up play. Like they're too busy.
And that could be part of it too. But as a defensive coordinator, you need to just gather your guys and fight the next down. Because you're gonna bad calls happen in football. You need to live to fight the next down.
No, that's
another sign of an Aaron Glenn weakness, right? And even a Dan Campbell weakness. Dan Campbell, by the way, made some horrible game decisions again in this game. He can't help himself. He'll continue to do it, going for it several times on 4th and like 10 or more yards. Just stupid decisions. Pin somebody deep, get your defense some momentum maybe. That's what I would do in those situations. So he's also part of the problem. But back to Aaron Glenn. Another call was on Justin Fields' bootleg touchdown in the red zone. You stunt Aiden Hutchinson in, right? Because you're trying to help create pressure with Aiden Hutchinson. He's been struggling to get home to the quarterback. He doesn't have a ton of help up front. So you try doing a stunt, right? Which is fine. I've actually been asking for more of that kind of thing, more blitz packages, more different looks. But a stunt in that situation, understanding the down and distance, understanding where you are on the field, and understanding the quarterback that you're playing against, understanding that they're chipping and doubling Hutchinson anyway. So when Hutchinson goes in, it's just bringing more blockers to the guy who's trying to come out, and now you have no contain. If you keep a guy like Justin Fields in the pocket and you force him to throw from the pocket, he'll struggle. Aaron Glenn continues to allow him to escape the pocket, make plays with his legs, and extend plays and throw the ball down the field. And we just played this team and had the same problems 3 weeks ago. That's the thing that concerns me. Nothing has changed from 3 weeks ago. We had the same issues, and we got lucky and got bailed out at the game I was at a few weeks ago when the Lions came back and stole that one from Chicago. We should have lost that game as well.
No, the offense bailed themselves out really because
But again, the defense wasn't good in that game either. Right. Justin Fields with his legs still had close to 100 yards rushing. Take something away. Like Aaron Glenn just doesn't make. He's just not the answer. It's gotten to the point where there's no saving him. He's not the answer in Detroit. And Dan Campbell's either gonna have to realize that and face that hard truth and get rid of him and bring somebody in like that can fix that a little bit, or he's gonna go down with them eventually. It won't happen anytime soon because the Lions are such a poverty franchise to begin with. But if this is any winning team and these coaches are putting up this kind of stuff, these coaches would be on the hot seat. Because of the flip of success that we've had in Detroit and because of how historically bad we've been, they're going to have a lot more wiggle room. But this is bad. It's really bad. They have not looked good for several weeks in a row on both O and D. The defense has been a problem much longer.
I don't think talent is an excuse anymore. I think talent was a very valid excuse the past 2 years. I mean, we spent most of our free agency acquisitions getting guys in to solve this problem. We spent a lot of our draft picks getting guys in to solve this problem. So.
Another schematic thing too, John. I got two more for you because I watched this whole game, couldn't believe it. Playing Alex Anzalone in man-to-man coverage several times on tight ends that he does not match up well with, and on running backs that he does not match up well. I told you he's a problem in coverage, has been all year. I don't care what anyone says about him. He's not a good football player in our system the way we try to use him, and he only does a few things well. Trying to play man-to-man with him on Cole Kmet and some of these guys, like that's just not going to happen. And over again,
tight ends torch him all season.
All the time. Running backs torch. He can't cover. So, and if you think Jack Campbell's a better cover, then try him. I don't think he is. I worried that was the problem with Jack Campbell when we drafted him. He's clearly not a great cover guy either because he's getting ripped apart in zone coverage like consistently. Like he's not getting to his drop. He's not understanding the concept that's happening behind him. And he's just kind of standing in no man's land and they're hitting dig routes behind him and slant routes behind him all day. It's not good. Okay, so that's a problem. And then the last thing I'll finish with, and John, you may disagree, Aiden Hutchinson's overrated. Very good football player, very overrated. You talk about, there's so many excuses being made for this guy. He doesn't have help. I agree. He doesn't have help on the defensive line. But when you're him, second overall draft pick, You're considered one of the best pass rushers in football. Every pass rusher like that gets doubled and gets chipped. Look at Max Crosby. Watch the film of him. Watch the attention he gets. Watch Boza Brothers, Khalil Mack, okay, Myles Garrett. Watch the attention those guys get, and TJ Watt, and the production that they still create. That's where we want Aiden Hutchinson to be. That's where we expect him to be, right? In one of those top tiers of a pass rusher. We drafted him that high for that reason. He's nowhere near that. He's struggling. He can't get sacks. I understand he doesn't have as much help as maybe some of those other pass rushers I mentioned, but you got to be able to still wreak havoc on quarterbacks when you're drafted as high as him and you have the expectations that we had, and the people give him the credit. Like he's done some great things, but man, what does he have? 2 sacks in the last 5 games?
Yeah.
I get he's struggling with protection and stuff, but other pass rushers that we talk about, Chris Jones, another name, like they're getting doubled. Aaron Donald's getting doubled and tripled and still producing, So, I mean, I
think Hutch's pressures and tackles are up there with some of those elite guys. What isn't is sacks, and the problem is that team sacks are incredibly low too. And I think per your point, right? Like clearly, if you're drawing that much attention to a guy like Hutchinson, honestly, that doesn't even bug me because of the fact that if it takes 2 or 3 guys in order to account for Hutchinson, which, as you said, that's the type of attention that elite pass rushers should be receiving, that's all well and good if your other defensive players are getting home and making sacks. And they're not. In fact, not only are they not getting home and making sacks, we have a very low level of tackles for loss. And more frustrating than any of it is anytime you play a mobile quarterback. I mean, dude, that one play that should have been a safety that turned into like a 40-yard run for Fields. I had an aneurysm because Hutchinson, getting effed and, getting shit blocked out of him. He still should have made that tackle. I agree. And then who was it? Anzalone missed a tackle, and then Sutton missed it. Everybody missed a tackle on that. And it's like, dude, like I get Fields is big. He's fast. He's mobile. Like that's the type of quarterback he is. There was no excuse why that shouldn't have been, if not a safety, at least a tackle for a loss. I mean, it was ridiculous.
It's sad.
And then other thing that I want to mention just quickly offensively before we move on here is I think a problem right now is our interior offensive line is way more of a liability than it previously was. And I agree, running is our strength. Our offensive line is our strength. Our problem right now is that our run game is not as strong if Ragnow's out. He is the anchor there, and now you have an injured Jonah Jackson who's looked like shit since he's come back, and you're a 3rd string, 4th string guard that is not confident. And you have Glasgow, who's actually a great player, but is not now getting any help in the interior, right? You at the very least need Glasgow at guard and Ragnow back in at center, or else that interior offensive line's a liability. And, what's Montgomery's bread and butter right now is being able to get 5, 6, 7 yards on a chunk play through the interior, and then Gibbs being a liability basically, or, a threat basically anywhere, right? And so that's I think that's what makes our run game so deadly is the fact that we can run it between the tackles and outside of the tackles, and it is just as much of a threat you have to respect. Now that that we're running, if you notice that game, we are bouncing way more of our runs outside than we ever have. I'm not used to seeing that at all from the Lions, and I think it's because of the fact that we have lost confidence in our ability to run it up the middle, and that's a problem, 100%. One that needs to get solved quick. And I don't know if that's just hoping that Ragnow gets healthy and then things kind of go back to normal. Jonah Jackson gets healthy, but that's clearly an issue. And I agree that
big issue.
And
give the Bears some credit. I mean, they have been playing pretty. They've been playing. They have a great run defense, and they've been playing pretty good football as a team for
top 5 run defense in the league. And
really,
and they've been playing better
for 5 or 6 weeks, dude. They've looked like a legitimate team.
Yeah, I mean the NFC North in general, I think, we gave the Packers their flowers last week. Like they clearly are a different team than what they were, in week, 1 through 6. After Thanksgiving, they look like a totally different team. Bears look like they're improving. I think Eberflus is in the middle of saving his job right now, honestly. I think if you had asked, an average Bears fan at week 4 if Eberflus was still going to be employed, I would think they would say no. I think now it's like, hey man, you got a top 5 defense in the league and your offense has weapons, and shit, man, you add Marvin Harrison into that mix. You acquire maybe another running back in the draft. Your blocking is getting better because not only is your offensive line decent, but you have a lot of big body tight ends that you actually use very well. It's serious, man. Like the Bears have potential. But honestly, the team that I feel like is trending in the most downhill aspect right now are the Vikings, because one, they can't stay healthy, and two, I think they've completely lost the plot offensively. But their defense looks decent, so I don't know, what to even make of that. I sure hope the Lions can beat the Vikings, and we'll get there. Because oh my God, they look horrible right now. I mean, they won that game against the Raiders, but
Yeah.
it was 0-0 up until the last minute and a half.
Yeah,
So
not
we'll get to
great.
that one. Okay, Rams at Baltimore. This game told me that the Rams are legitimately a good team. Like, they should be in the playoffs. They are playing good football, and also Baltimore is legitimately a very, very good team. And I just keep adding fuel to this. I think Baltimore is the best team in the AFC. And I don't think enough people are talking about just how good they are. I really we're
You've
talking
been
a
saying
lot.
this too. John has been saying this.
We're talking a lot about KC. We're talking a lot about Miami. We're talking a lot about we're not talking enough about Baltimore as a team right now. They look great offensively, and I know their defense lit up a lot of points in this game, but you're playing against Stafford and his gunslinger and McVay and all that stuff. I mean, they're really good defensively too. So I'm just at a point right now where I'm like, guys, KC is not what they used to be. The Dolphins are really good, but they have weaknesses. Why are we not talking about Baltimore as an AFC favorite for the Super Bowl right now?
This game rocked. This was a great football game. It was a great football game. Ended on a great note. Punt return touchdowns to win games. One of the best ways. One of the best. I mean, you talk about walk-off home runs in baseball, and it's such a cool thing. Walk-off wins in football on punt returns. I mean, we saw the Jets do it in the opening week, but this one ruled. This return was awesome. It was an incredible play. And, I mean, just back and forth between Stafford and Lamar. I mean, this was an exciting game to watch, and I agree with you, John. I think both these teams, obviously one team won, one team lost, but both these teams gained a lot of respect from me. And, the Rams are not a team that I want to see coming to Detroit. If we host a playoff game, I wouldn't want to host a playoff game against Stafford in his homecoming with the Rams and the weapons that they have. But the Ravens, I agree with you, man. They are. I don't want to go as far as say they're the best team in the AFC, but they might be. They might be the way the Chiefs are falling off. I will say, and we'll get into the Chiefs game, towards the end of this.
We will. Don't you worry.
But I will say that if you're a betting man, I would put a future now, because you're going to get the best value now on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
saying. You mentioned that last week. I'm just saying every loss that they stack, they've lost 3 straight games. The 49ers also lost 3 straight games this year, and they look unbeatable. A lot can change in a few weeks. So I would not bet against Mahomes. And I'm telling you, when these receivers get it figured out a little bit, I'm just saying that this team, they're still the defending champs. They still have the best player in the world, and they still have one of the best coaches in the world. So you don't want to count them out. That's all I'm putting out there. Fair enough. I'm not entirely counting them out. This is still Andy Reid. These are still the defending Super Bowl champs, but I am very much in the bucket of this is not the same team that we've seen
yet.
Are the receivers just going to wake up eventually?
I think, John. I honestly, they have, I think, 33 drops at this point in the season. 33 team drops for the Chiefs, which is really, really high. They have dudes that can get open. They have scheme that will get them open. They have a quarterback that can get them the ball. And I'm telling you, if they figure it out a little bit and they snap out of this whatever, it'll happen. Another team. Who's another AFC team people should be worried about? The Browns, because they got Joe Flacco and they have a Super Bowl winning quarterback now who's, he's near 40 years old, but he does enough and he takes care of the football well enough to just lean on a defense, just like he did in Baltimore. Okay, very similar situation. Obviously, he's much older now, but this Cleveland team is ridiculous on defense. They're not a team I'd want to see in the playoffs. And I'm going to go as far to say as I think that they will win a playoff game this year. I think the Cleveland Browns are a scary team. I really do believe in this defense, and I think with Joe
I do
Flacco
think
now, they have somebody to like be like, okay, here's the keys. Just don't lose us the game. Right?
Yeah,
That's all he really has to
defense
do.
is good enough to win them a playoff game. I agree with you on that. And obviously Jags are down. T-Law and Kirk, who did end up getting
T-Law played, but I mean, he was.
That's right. Shit, I forgot.
He played, but he's a tough mother. He's a tough mother.
He shouldn't have played. I guess
I mean, he kept him in the game. It was close enough, but like he's better than the next guy in, even with 1 foot.
That shit was crazy. But happy that he's healthy enough to play. He's was
a
not
tough
dude
for
that
man.
game. Yeah. And then there's not much to talk about Panthers Saints. I mean, I'll admit this, right? Like, hey, we put some light on Mark and I's good takes. Bad take for me was thinking Derek Carr was going to solve our offensive problems. Not only was that not the case, this dude, it actually pissed me off. He had like 40 passing yards in the fourth quarter, and the dude was acting like he had won the Super Bowl and was like the heart and soul of this offense. And he was getting into it with his offensive lineman because his offensive linemen are, I think, tired of him acting like he's the center. He's a hard
guy to be around. I think, like if you're not winning, because I think he demands a lot from the people around him. If you've noticed, John, that dude's taking a beating every game, and the offensive line's not like they're not like helping him up anymore. Like they're not like he's not. You can tell that they're not. They don't love him.
It reminds me of Russell Wilson with his team last year. Like the type of banter, the attitudes, the conversations that I'm seeing happen on the sidelines and on the field, frankly, it's like there's just no trust or faith or camaraderie. And it's like, take a look at the Lions offensive line. I mean, those dudes literally look like they will run through a brick wall for their quarterback and coach at all times. Like it is true. And I just am not catching. And I know I'm ragging on the Saints after a 22-point win, but I mean, I'm struggling to see where's the way out. Like I get the entire idea of a rebuild and like clicking the self-destruct button and all of that stuff is scary, but are we just going to keep being a flirt with 500 team for the rest of our lives because we're afraid to do that and we're afraid to reset on cap space and we're afraid to, stockpile young draft talent? I don't know. I frankly don't know the answer to that. It is frustrating because it's like I just get pissed off even watching wins now because I can just tell this team anytime they play a good team is going to get crushed. So
it's funny. I mean, they won 28-6, and John's acting all mad. I don't even fault him.
They very clearly do not like each other on the field.
Yeah.
And if you're winning a game and you're still talking shit to each other, how can I expect you to win a game against a good team? I can't.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem.
So Colts got up to an early lead and then just imploded on themselves in this game.
Cincinnati, man, they have a good team, right? It's not just Joe Burrow. They've done a really good job building a good team around Joe Burrow, and give Browning credit. The guy, his opportunity. You love when an opportunity arises for a quarterback that hasn't really had a shot, and he comes in and he's making himself some money here, John. He's definitely giving himself a chance to become a backup quarterback for somebody for an extended amount of time, and that's kind of the dream job. Back up Joe Burrow, franchise quarterback, back him up. He's going to be there forever and just kind of learn from him and be there to step in when something happens. That's a pretty damn good gig. If he keeps playing like this, he's going to earn that gig. And Cincinnati, man, quietly, couple big wins for him. And
franchise quarterbacks taking care of their backups, man. Like that, like you said, there's not too many gigs better in the NFL than being a second stringer behind a franchise quarterback.
Joe Burrow, did you see he let him use his suite that Burrow pays for Browning's family? Yeah, he gave Browning his entire family was in Burrow's suite.
Really quick, it's a tie game, Titans-Dolphins right now, 13-13. Titans just absolutely flubbed a catch on a punt, just completely dropped it, and the Dolphins now have it like in the red zone, like on like the Titans 6-yard line.
Yeah, update 2 on the Packers. They're driving. They're down 16-21 because Saquon hit the ground and fumbled. But because he wasn't touched, it was still ruled a fumble, and the Packers picked it up and ran it back like 40 yards. So the Packers are driving to take the lead with under 3 minutes left in the game, which is not great because the Giants pretty much had it locked up.
That's more or less just what happened on the side of the ball too. I think it was the special teams coordinator just threw his headset. The Titans special teams coordinator threw his headset across the sideline. Yeah, they look like they're 1 yard away from scoring right now. Mostert just got tackled at the one. All right, Tampa at Falcons. I think Tampa now is officially number 1 in the NFC South.
Baker, baby.
I think all 4 teams are under 500 still. Again, so look, the NFC East did that 1 year where like every team sucked. Like Dallas wasn't very good. Eagles were, I think.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think they
yeah.
got in at like 9-8 or 8-9 or something.
Yeah. And then the exact next season, like 3 out of 4 teams turned it around. Like Giants started playing better. Eagles looked like a wagon. And Dallas, looked really good. They just did wheelbarrows for the touchdown. The Dolphins just did. I might have that. That's my list. That was hilarious. Team wheelbarrows.
You have too much
across
recency
the
bias, John. Go into your big brain. You have a huge brain. Go into it. You got to think past yesterday.
Dude, I've only been watching football the way that I've been watching football like since COVID. And I think that's probably why. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I've always been a huge football fan. I've always watched football every week. The concept of me watching, 80% of the games any given week is that was I have nothing better to do because I'm locked inside of my house. And I truly believe that football saved America during 2020.
You could say it. Football has saved America several times.
I'd agree with that. Anyways, the NFC South now 2 years in a row is like all 4 teams are horrible. So that's hard to do. So shout out, I guess. Seahawks against the Niners. We kind of predicted that this game was not going to go well for the Seahawks. Sure enough, the Niners beat them by 2 scores. I think, to the Niners, and
they're winning the Super Bowl.
I don't want to get too excited about this, but they look so good.
They're winning the Super Bowl. I want to place a future on the Niners Chiefs Super Bowl rematch. Niners get their revenge. That's what I want to place a future on, and maybe become a very, very rich man. And maybe we look back at this clip and say, "Hey, you were onto something. Why didn't we bet $1 million on it?" They're the best team in football. I don't really think it's close. Brock Purdy looks unbelievable when he has all his weapons playing. When Trent Williams is healthy, they're a very different team. You can see how important he is to that offense, not just in the running game, overall. Deebo Samuel has been, they're finally using him more. Ayuk continues to produce. McCaffrey opens up everything for everybody. Kittle is so unselfish. They all block downfield after each and every one of them. If one of them catches it, everyone else is blocking their ass off for each other. It's fun to watch. It's beautiful football. Their defense continues to get better. This is the team
with injury issues. They've suffered some huge blows injury-wise, and they haven't missed a beat.
People turned on this team when they lost 3 straight games. John, I'll give you credit. You were one of the people that never really wavered. I wavered a little bit. This is the team to beat. This is the team to beat this year. They look really, really good.
I'm surprised, by the way, that we're not all dead right now. Because if I were the football gods, I would have gone scorched earth at this Vikings Raiders game. I would have actually started the apocalypse as a result.
I was really hoping for at a certain point the 0-0 tie.
I was at that when it was fourth quarter and still nobody had scored. I was like, just please God, take this to overtime. Still have no points. 0-0. It would be I think the lowest scoring game of all time. I don't think there's ever been a 0-0 tie in NFL history, at least not that I can think of. This was horrible. This was, I'm happy the Raiders pushed because Mark and I got crushed on our best bets in general anyways, but I was not expecting them to push by scoring 0 points and the Vikings still only scoring 3. Absolutely insane. I have no, I actually do have words. Well, first of all, Dobbs injured, so that stinks. But even more so, that Tom Brady take of hey, you have to be careful how you pass the balls to your receivers because you don't want to get them murdered, has done nothing but age well. Because that's exactly what happened to Justin Jefferson. He's probably out for the season. Highly likely that he broke his ribs. And
it sucks, dude. That sucks to see.
It blows, and it was on a pass where I think the quarterback was. And I'm not trying to totally throw Dobbs under the bus. I get it's tough, and literally this is the first time he's played with Jefferson in his life. but he threw a pass that put him in a very compromised position. Jefferson had to go up and get it in the middle of the field, just got rocked by the linebacker.
I'll say, John, that you're right. You got to try to protect your receivers, but that's a really hard thing to ask a quarterback to do, especially a young quarterback like Dobbs and not a lot of experience with Jefferson. Like, it's already a hard enough position, but to have to worry about protecting receivers, like you just have to make your read and make the right throw. That was the right read. It was the right throw. He tried to place the ball on his back shoulder to kind of protect him and allow Jefferson to turn and avoid the contact. And unfortunately, it was just a little bit off, and Jefferson wasn't able to protect himself. And it sucks, but it happens. Like, receivers understand that's a part of the deal. It's football. Yeah. Like, I'm not ever going to fault a quarterback for getting his receiver killed. Like, it's too hard of a position to protect your receivers at perfect rates, right? Like, even Tom Brady threw some balls that got his dudes annihilated. It's just, you can't like completely take that out of your game, because it was either that or he holds on the ball and then he gets annihilated. Right. So it's like, there's not really a win there. It's a tough thing to really be mad about.
I'm not mad. Again, I'm not saying, Dobbs, like, you got to do a better job of that. Like, that's not what I'm suggesting.
I'm not, like you said,
Tom Brady made me aware of that, because that's not something I'm a lineman, right? I didn't spend too much time thinking about receivers' safety when they're, catching balls in the middle of the field. Ever since he's made that comment, I'm like, come on. And now I see it all the time where I'm like, oh shit, that dude just got rocked as a direct result of that pass.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
All right. The Bills-KC revenge game. This was an exciting game, start to finish. Ending obviously in a very controversial way. And my take on it, honestly, is I'm not trying to say that refs are ref balling KC, but, like, let's be real here. You are one of the darlings of the NFL. More often than not, the refs have been very empathetic to KC's officiating.
Packers just scored.
Issues. Packers just scored, and Dolphins just scored again. I missed how they even got the ball that quickly again. I mean, they just went up 2 scores in like a minute and a half. Anyways, like, to act like the refs are against you or totally blew that call. Like, let's just look at this for 2 seconds. I'm sorry, you are so egregiously offsides. How do you not call? Look at where was this Johnson or whatever on the other side is. What is the line of scrimmage? Like, there's this blue line going across, right? The ball is honestly a half yard off of that blue line. The tackle is 2 yards behind that.
Also, the fact that you pulled up a tweet that's in Spanish is insane.
I just searched up the Kadarius Toney and came up with the first thing.
John pulls up a tweet that's literally in Espanol. I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah, he has to use Google Translate to translate. Like, what is this guy doing?
I don't care what the person's saying. I just need to.
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving you shit. But no, it's insane. Listen. I actually understand the frustration that Andy Reid and Mahomes had after the game. Like, is it a penalty? 100%. But did this penalty affect the play? Not at all. And
yes, actually, no, it did. Who caught this ball at the end of the day?
But it didn't matter at all. That wasn't why he caught the ball. He didn't catch the ball. He got a lateral pitch to him late. Like, it didn't affect the play. But where do you draw the line is the question, right? He's clearly offsides. If you scooch him up 10 yards... Like, would that affect the play? Like, where does it actually start to affect the play?
Right, like, why are you getting mad about the official?
That's why it's a rule. That's why it's a rule. Like, you have to call it. You have to call it.
I understand the frustration, but for them to literally be like, well, it was wrong, but you shouldn't call it because we're KC and this was a big situation. Like, that is the dumbest logic I've ever heard in my entire life.
They definitely sounded, I mean, Andy Reid and Mahomes definitely sounded like bitches. And
yeah, I mean, what he said, I mean, like, what a...
after the game,
he goes to Allen and says that was like a horseshit call. Like, okay, dude, sweet. Yeah, you've lost 5 games this season. Shut up. Like, honestly, it pissed me off. Like, and again, it's because of the fact that it's like, what questionable play happened at the end of the Super Bowl that Casey was on the benefiting side of, and it didn't sound like Pat Mahomes was like, no, for the sake of the game, we shouldn't. No, shut up. Like,
it looks like a spoiled brat, behavior, and that's exactly what it was. And
I get if you're.
I
if you're
hate it because
heated,
it took away such an amazing play. That's
Yeah.
why I hate it, and that's I
It
think why
stinks.
they were so mad too.
Totally.
You know, it's like, oh my
But-
god, did that really just get called back? And in the heat of the game, you know, obviously, like Mahomes isn't going to notice Tony's offsides, right? He's not going to notice that, so he probably
it's
didn't
the fact
realize
that they doubled
how
down.
egregious.
The next day. Like,
That's true.
They
That's
still
true.
were talking about, and that's the thing is like, don't get me wrong, heat of the game, you're pissed, whatever. You come back the next day after like seeing this screenshot and still having the same take. I'm like, come on, man. Like, that's just rough. Because, and honestly, I'm on the note of, okay, well, you know, where do you draw the line? I am exhausted personally of lines of scrimmage looking like this. The Mighty Duck formations on the offensive line drive me nuts because it puts the defensive line at a huge disadvantage. That should be a penalty. Like, the line of scrimmage isn't real in this play. It's like a 2.5 yard range. That should not happen. That should not exist.
if the side judge can't see the ball at all and he can't see the other offensive lineman, you're pretty far off sides. So
Yeah.
you have to call this. And I think that's what they explained when people asked them, like, why did you call it? Why didn't you give it? Because a lot of times they'll give you a warning if you're lining up as a receiver. Because, again, as a receiver, if you're a half yard or a yard off sides, it really doesn't change the play that drastically. Now, if you do it every time, they're going to warn you and be like, hey, you need to back up. And then you just back up. In this instance, there was no warning. They just threw the flag and took away one of the best plays we've ever seen. That's why they were so mad. But he was so far off sides that you have to call it. So
Yeah, I don't. And again, I get, but just because there's stakes to a game and just because it's KC versus Buffalo doesn't change the fact that like football has rules that we're supposed to abide by. And again, I think the NFL needs to do a better job of making sure that offensive lines collectively play on the line of scrimmage because it puts the defensive line at a huge disadvantage if you have this Mighty Duck formation where everybody's in a triangle all the time. That's not this is just me, you know, maybe just being a lineman and making too much emphasis on something that doesn't matter that much, but I actually think it does affect the game quite a bit.
it changes the game drastically.
Yeah,
It has all year. Oh my God, the Giants! They're in field goal range. The Giants are in field goal range, and they'll kick a field goal to win if they make it. Yes, man.
Yeah, this is huge if you're a Lions fan.
This is huge. This is huge.
All right, moving on to Broncos Chargers. The Broncos went from being one of the worst teams in the NFL to having a substantial defensive turnaround. I actually watched a Brett Coleman video on it this morning, and Brett pretty much says the reason why their defensive turnaround is so good is because they're literally going like suicide levels of blitz rates, and it's just working. Like they are not. They're putting so much pressure on the quarterback that he's not playing, you know, whoever is on the other side of the ball is not playing the type of the same level of quarterback they usually play. And it's working out for them. And Sean Payton's figured out how to turn Russ back into old school Russ, and the offense is productive now. I'm like, when I saw this team on the Lions schedule, and I actually think we match up very well against them, so I'm excited for this game, and I think the Lions should win this game coming up, but I'm a lot more concerned about it this coming week than these are guys that Sean Payton literally mentored, right? And so it's literally student versus master coming up here with the Lions and the Broncos. The Broncos are one game away from having the division lead. Who would have thought that 6 weeks ago? Absolutely crazy. I think Mark is totally invested in what's going on with this.
I'm so invested in Tommy DeVito right now. They keep showing his dad in the stands, and his dad just keeps saying like, relax. He's trying. Everybody's around. Like, Tommy DeVito's balling out in this game, by the way.
Did you see the picture of the agent in like the pinstripe suit and the top hat today?
Yeah,
crazy. It's freaking hilarious. Oh, they're showing the missed field goals from earlier though on the Giants side.
Don't worry about it. Come on.
I agree with you about the Broncos.
Yeah, I agree with you. They've found a way. I can't believe that they found a way. After they lost to the Jets, I really thought they were dead. I thought that it was karma. I thought Sean Payton deserved it. But it was almost like losing to the Jets was like him paying his karma for being an asshole in the offseason. And then it's like, okay, now it's time. Now it's time to get going. And they did. They woke up. He found something that worked. Defensively, offensively, the pieces just clicked at the right time. And, I mean, you go from giving up 70 to Miami and then losing to the Jets at home, and then you just flip a switch. Like, something happened. Something clicked in that locker room. Something clicked in those meeting rooms with the coaches, and they have found a formula to win football games, and they're probably going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
as it sits right now. And they may catch Kansas City because they already have one win against them in terms of the tiebreaker.
Yep.
So
Yeah, they might actually win the division some way. I mean, with the way things are trending in KC, I'm very concerned about them hanging on to their division lead since they only have a 1-game lead right now. And I think they have a harder strength of schedule going down the stretch here than the Broncos do. So we'll see what happens. And then Eagles, Dallas. Look, everybody knows I'm at this point probably just an iconic Dallas hater. I hate Dallas probably more than just about it. Dude, I almost like being on like Hannah's little like weekend mini tour that we did, and just being surrounded by Dallas fans in Dallas. It was rough. I wanted to like insult people, and I realized I'm on their turf. I can't do that.
don't be scared, John. Stand your ground.
Yeah, I'll just go and start telling everybody their football team sucks in their home city. That would go over well.
What are you scared of? Getting your ass beat? Be
Yeah,
good
probably.
for
Here's the kick for the Giants. Giants, it's right through the middle. Perfect.
Bang, bang. You're ahead of me, so I'm glad that happened though.
Yeah, clock expiring, final. Look, where I was going, Dak Prescott is playing out of his effing mind. I think Mark, has been throwing his name out there in the MVP conversation. I can't, for the life of me, deny that at this point. I mean, he's playing better than any quarterback in the NFL right now. If you look at his touchdowns, his yards, his interceptions, all of it, passer rating. They just went against one of the best teams in the NFL and kicked their ass the same way that they got their ass kicked by San Francisco, which had me on the San Francisco is the team to beat train very early in the season. So I can't. They are a wagon, and I'd say this is the best Dallas team that truly we've seen in a few years, because this was always the game that they'd get to and then lose, right? And then it's like, haha, Dallas can't beat anybody that's noteworthy, and this is why I sit around and talk shit about them. You're winning games by 2-3 scores against Super Bowl contenders. I mean, you have to pay attention. Simple as that. So
Dallas is for real. Dallas is the real deal. You were worried about them, right? Last week when I picked them, and I was like, "Hey, I think they could beat the Eagles," and you were like, "I don't know. They've only been beating bad teams." This was not a bad team they played against, John. This was not a bad team they played against, and they took care of business in every facet of the game. They took care of business. Dak, right now, I don't see how you can give anybody else the MVP. Maybe Brock Purdy, but like I think Dak warrants it just because of how much more he's doing individually for the Cowboys. They're dangerous, man. They're a really good football team, and they don't have a ton of weaknesses, aside from maybe the 49ers. That's the one thing that we can kind of hope for. At least we have that going for us, where the Cowboys have to go through the 49ers to get to the Super Bowl. If they beat the 49ers somehow, it's not going to be fun for people like us that don't like the Cowboys. That's all I can say, because they'll be relentless if they somehow win a Super Bowl. And this is the closest, honestly, this is the closest they've been in the last decade of having a Super Bowl caliber team, in my opinion. So credit to them and credit to what they've done, because last year they took a lot of shit. And Dak especially took a lot of shit, and he's turned it around. And Mike McCarthy's found his rhythm play calling with him, and it's been honestly exciting to watch. It's been fun to watch, because I root for a guy like Dak. I really do. And as much as you hate the Cowboys, as much as I hate the Cowboys, Dak is not a guy I can hate. It's not a guy I can get behind and hope for his downfall.
Yeah, I mean, exciting origins and a good person and all that good stuff. But anyways, and I really don't think Eagle fans, should be too concerned about it. Every single time the Eagles lose anything, I feel like their fan base goes completely scorched earth. Look, it's a divisional rival. You beat earlier in the season, and they had, your number at home. I mean, that's the type of game that you lose. I mean, the Dallas is a freaking good team, and they're your divisional rival, and makes sense that you go 1-on-1 in the regular season, and you'll probably see each other in the playoffs, depending on how things shake out, and that will be an exciting game. So, and then obviously Green Bay just lost to the Giants, and the Titans are actually they're back into being in the game. It's 21-27 right now with 2.5 minutes left. Miami has the ball. Titans defense playing pretty well, but we'll see what happens there. We'll continue to update that as times go on.
Tommy DeVito and this story with his dad and like the Italian. I don't know what it is with Italians. I mean, I'm Italian. I don't know what it is with Italians, but anytime that they do something like cool in sports, like people just like, I don't know. Like there's just always like this gravitational obsession with Italians. Like you talk about mob movies, mob shows, like Italians just draw attention from people of all sorts of, kinds, and they just love like Italian drama, Italian films, like something about it. Italian food, the accents, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's weird, but I'm proud to be Italian, and I'm proud to be the same background as Tommy DeVito right now because they just took care of it. I mean, they're showing his family. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. You would think. Look at this. I'm pausing this right now, and I'm gonna put this live on the screen on my phone. And I'm gonna hold this up. If you can see this, look at the. Look at this.
Look at the agent, bro.
It looks like a scene out of the frickin' Sopranos, dude. You got Tony Soprano in the middle. You got some guy wearing a top hat and a chain. And they're all doing the frickin' thing with their hands. It's insane. This is on NFL. We're watching this live. Like, the Italians are taking over. Tommy DeVito, man. What a cool story for him. I mean, undrafted. Like, he's won 3 of his first 4 starts. He took a bunch of shit from everybody, including us, after his first start. And, I mean, shout out to him, dude. Shout out to the Giants. Just when you think they're dead, they come in and they take care of the Packers for us, something that us Detroit people couldn't do ourselves.
Thank you, Giants. Yeah. I'm still concerned about the Packers, though, but this is huge if you're a Lions fan.
This is huge.
Yeah. Also, really quick, just last thing I want to talk about. I talked about Brandon Perna's curse wheel last week and how, like, palpable the curse has been this season, especially.
Who was it this week?
It was the Eagles. And literally the Eagles fans, when he came, were like acting like the game was over before it had even started. And surely enough, they go ahead and get murdered at Dallas. So
why don't we have a wheel?
Well, we can't just steal. There's only one curse wheel.
Let's do a good luck wheel.
Okay. I don't think it can be a wheel either. I think we need like something.
A dartboard.
I like a dartboard.
Spinning dartboard. Throw the dart. Who's it land on?
It would be like a blessing dartboard, like whatever team.
Yeah, whoever we hit gets the practice squad pod luck.
I like that. Something has to negate this curse wheel. It is way too powerful. This came from the football.
This guy can listen. In life, in this world, there's evil and there's good. Right? There's hell and there's heaven, right?
There needs something to balance out.
This is negative. We need a positive. It's the balance of the world. Equilibrium. Yin and yang.
I agree. Because that curse wheel is way too powerful.
You know what else is cursed? Our picks from last week.
We need
to reset that
Mark,
and get back on the right track.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's my fault that my picks weren't good this past week. I'm pissed at you about that Saints pick still. Because I just wanted to taste being above 500 late into the season one time. And sure enough, I didn't get it because I'm mad. I'm really
All you got to do, John, is go 5-0 on a week like I do every other week, and you're fine.
I'm upset. I'm just upset.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah, these spreads look correct too. Drew did these while we were recording because he's a good guy. But it looks like everything's locked in and good to go. So thank you, Drew, for dealing with that. That's the one downside to recording on Monday night. Or you could get things out earlier for you guys, but in this case, where you have 2 Monday night football games, it's 8 teams where the lines aren't posted yet, and so we have to wait for those games to conclude. Dolphins actually isn't concluded yet, so that's early line, but I digress. Anyways, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this podcast. We'll be relatively quick for you guys for picking spreads this time around. First, we got Chargers at Raiders. Raiders are favored by 3 points. I think the betting market has finally caught up to the Chargers just not being a good team this year. A little surprised about the under-over line, frankly, but see what it is. I honestly like the Raiders to win this one, with the Chargers missing Justin Herbert. I mean, there's so many dead quarterbacks right now. Justin Herbert is another one added to the list. So you got
it's a low over under too.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, but I like the Raiders to cover.
I think I like the over.
Mark likes the over. I was thinking about it.
I mean, the Raiders aren't going to be as bad offensively as they were last week. The Chargers have a backup quarterback, but Kellen Moore will be creative enough to find some way to score. I just feel like that's so low, you know.
It's very low. Like, I mean, if the Patriots Steelers could get the over, why can't the Chargers Raiders?
The Titans are driving, by the way, in the red zone.
I know.
2 minutes left.
I know. I got it open here. I mean, it's still very much a game. Hey, Miami to flub that one, man, that would be big for the AFC. That would really change the entire picture there. Vikings at Bengals. Bengals have been playing good football. Vikings are on their third string quarterback with Dobbs getting hurt. Lost Justin Jefferson again. I like the Bengals to win here, and I probably like them to cover. I actually think this might be an above a 1-score win for the Bengals. I'm thinking it a 2-score win here.
You put in your best bets or no?
Because Vikings have had good luck with their quarterbacks dying for whatever reason, I'm a little bit skeptical of whoever this third string guy that's going to come in is going to be. I don't even know who it is. I don't think you can blame me for not knowing who it is. But I'm gonna leave it because of that question mark.
All right, I'm gonna pick the Bengals as well, but I'm not my best bets.
Okay, not your best bets. Got it. Steelers at Colts. I still don't know what to make of the Colts. I don't know if anybody does. Are they a playoff team? Are they not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But I mean, I don't know. Gardner Minshew is Minshew mania, man. Bounce
Playing
back
good
week.
football. Steelers. Kenny Pickett's still going to be out. So Trubisky's getting another start. I'm not touching this one with a 10-foot pole, best bets wise. But I like the Colts to win. And I think they could cover too at home.
It's a tough one for me. I kind of like the under in this one, but I just hate betting over-unders in general unless I'm pretty damn sure about it. I'm going to go with the Colts, I think, to win this one and cover that 2.5.
Got you. Broncos, again, student versus master here. Broncos at Lions. Sean Payton hasn't seen no Ben Johnson, though. That's the one thing. Dan Campbell and Glenn he knows pretty well, but he doesn't know Ben Johnson. I like the Lions to win this game. I think they match up well, personnel wise. I don't feel confident enough to add this to best bets. I'm really excited about this game. I think this game's going to be way more telling about who the Lions are than I was originally expecting it to be.
Touchdown Titans, by the way. They're about to take the lead with an extra point.
Oh shit! Now you're ahead of me. How the hell did that happen?
I don't know.
That's weird.
I'm not sure. I am gonna fade your pick. I don't believe in the Lions. They look atrocious. This is a good football team coming into town. Give me the Broncos best bet +5. Give me the Broncos best bet +5. What does it say in the bottom there? I can't read it anymore. Remind Mark to not take Denver in anything ever.
Mark, I think this is your third, maybe your fourth time picking Denver this season. Is this the one that breaks it?
I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they freaking screw me here. I hope the Lions end up winning this game and covering the spread. But what concerns me and it's heart versus mind right now, okay? I hate the Denver Broncos for what they've done to me this year. But my mind sees that they match up well, and Sean Payton is the father of Dan Campbell's coaching career and Aaron Glenn, and he owns them. You know, there's no doubt about it. He owns them. He created them, and he knows their weaknesses. He knows their tendencies. He knows everything he taught them, and I'm sure they definitely have some inside scoop against Sean Payton as well. But I trust. It's like what happens when Saban coaches against his former coaches. Okay. I'm not saying Sean Payton is Saban-esque, but similar thing. Like you know the guys that you trained, right? And you know what makes them good, what makes them not good. I think he takes advantage of some things. The Lions are reeling. It scares me, man. 5 points. 5
Things
points is a lot.
By the way, Lions lose this. I think the fan base is acting very spoiled right now. By the way, like we're.
But it's reasonable because
I think-
we should be better than.
I think the criticisms are warranted, but I also think Lions fans are forgetting where they came from and how quickly we got here. Things are gonna get really effing loud if the Lions don't beat the Broncos at home. I'll say that much. I think things, especially if it's as a result of a turnover or some kind of mental error, some kind of discipline related error, things are going to get loud. KC at the Patriots. We were going to have a guest on that's a Pats fan. I think we'll get him on when he gets better internet soon here. I think the Patriots are going to. I think KC has a lot of pent up anger and energy right now, and I think the Patriots are going to be on the receiving side of that to the tune of dozens and dozens of points. So give me KC best bets.
Wow. I normally would be with you. I'm just gonna say Kansas City covers the 10. But I'm not putting in my best bets. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Falcons at Panthers. Panthers are getting 3. I don't know what to make of any of these NFC South teams because they keep beating up on each other and it doesn't tell us anything. I like Falcons to win this. I like them to cover, but I don't know. No best bets.
Could the Panthers get another win?
Maybe. I wouldn't count that out.
I think I'll take Atlanta. Not my best bets though.
Not your best bets. Chicago.
The Dolphins are driving right now, by the way, too. I'm
going to
continue to give some updates as we go.
Yeah, because it's exciting football. So we got Bears at Browns, and the Bears, I think objectively, you cannot call them, even a bottom 5 team. I actually think they're playing pretty decent football right now. They have a very serious run defense. In general, their defense is pretty dang good. And their offense is finding some rhythm. Now, is their offense going to be good enough to surmount the Browns defense? That's the big question. I'm going to lean no on that question. And for that reason, I don't think the Bears will win this game. I expect the Browns to cover, but I really don't know about this one, man. I mean, this could be a big prove it game for the Bears.
Give me the Browns best bet. Oh my God. This might be the easiest bet I've ever put in here. I feel like the Bears are just going to get exposed. Like I just feel like Justin Fields against this defense is going to have serious issues. And I just think Joe Flacco just takes care of the ball and just I'm not saying they win 30-3, but I'm saying I think that they win 24 to
by more
6
than 3 points
type thing. You know what I mean? Like I think they do take care of business. I think their defense gets a score.
You did not take away or add that many points.
I know. But just it just makes sense in my mind,
For sure.
Well, it's not for sure. You say for sure, but
it's not a 30-3 game. It was a
24-6.
It's a 24-6.
I think that's actually the same differential, isn't it? It might be exactly the same differential. Is it? No, it's a one. I think
you're bad at math, but that's okay.
Hey, I'm good at picking games though. Check my numbers. 38-19. Book it here. You heard it here first. Ride with me.
Tampa at Green Bay. Green Bay are giving 3.5 points.
Giving or getting?
Giving.
They're giving.
Yeah, they're favored by 3.5 points.
Yeah.
I really don't know about this one because I just watched Green Bay choke away a game against the freaking Giants. So,
yeah, that's at This is at Lambeau though.
Yeah,
I like the Packers.
I like the Packers too. Not best bets though. Jets at Dolphins. I like Jets. I'm adding Jets covering in my best bets.
There you go. Now you're thinking.
Just seeing what the Titans just did to the Dolphins here. It's that Jets' second time playing them. Still have some very small playoff hopes alive. Zach Wilson back in a rhythm. I like it. I'll take it. I mean, 12 points is a lot of points. And I think this late in the season, you do not see teams, especially divisional rivals, just blowing each other out as often anymore, unless you're the Cowboys against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think I'll probably take Jets to cover, but I'm not putting in my best bets.
Okay. Giants at Saints. Saints are favored by 6 points.
Titans just won, by the way. They sacked Tua to end it.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I'm keeping my eye out for that. That's crazy.
Wow. That's a huge win.
Are you already on the 4th down? That's crazy.
It's over.
Okay, so yeah, you're ahead of me by like 25. How did that happen? I'm so confused. I was ahead of you, and now you're ahead of me by like 30 seconds. I like the Saints to cover and win, but I don't know how confident I feel about that. Definitely not adding it to my best bets.
I can't go against TD.
Tommy
DeVito.
Hold on, and I'm changing my opinion very quickly because Carr is really struggling against good defensive lines, and that's probably the Giants' greatest strength.
TD, bro. Tommy DeVito.
They don't cover. I don't.
Tommy DeVito, Giants. Give me the Giants +6.
Not that it matters, but it changed very quickly there. Giants. Are you adding us to your best bets right now, or are you just saying
no?
Tommy DeVito. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito. Hey.
San Fran at Cardinals. Cardinals are getting 13.5 points. How's Kyler been playing, by the way?
Not great. Not bad.
I feel like I haven't he came back in week 1 and that was exciting because he was like healthy again.
They're like almost like suppressing him. Like I don't hear anything about him.
Yeah, very weird.
Because they also are terrible, but
I'm not adding shit to my best bets here, but I could see San Fran winning by. I don't know though.
I agree. I think they cover it, but
yeah. Commanders at LA. LA is favored by 7 points. I like LA to cover this. Actually, I'm gonna add this to my best bets.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, dude, LA's got to make the playoffs, man, and they got to start winning games against bad teams in decided fashion.
I think the Commanders cover.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not going to put that in my best bets, but I do. I think the Commanders, I think they come off a bye and they're ready to go. A little refreshed.
Okay. Texans at Titans. Titans coming off of a big win against Miami. Texans probably missing CJ Stroud, who's in concussion protocol, and both of their star receivers. And the Titans are only giving 1.5. I'm going to take the Titans here in best bets. I'm going to take. Well, it's
you're rolling.
Well, right now I'm just I'm getting these gut feelings, and I feel like I need to roll with those because I have not felt very many just impulsive. That's good.
You love the board this week.
I like the board this week.
No. You love the board.
Love the board this week. What's the threshold for
Vocal loves the board. Dude, you got 4 picks in the last 5 games. That's when you know you love it. Admit you love it, man. You know love when you know it. It hits you, you know it. It's a feeling. It's a magical feeling. Vocal loves the board. All right? If you guys are out there and you see these picks, Vocal loves the board, and we'll see how it pays off for him. I also love the board, and I think my picks are absolutely locks, and I'm not even afraid to jinx myself. You want to ride with these guys. Me and John win money this week. Promise you that much.
You got to bounce back this week.
The Titans, I like as well. Not my best bets, but I think they do cover. And then I look ahead to the Dallas Bills game in Buffalo. The Bills are actually 2.5-point favorites. Am I reading that correctly?
Somehow.
Can we confirm that?
Yeah, I can double check for you.
Because that's kind of insane.
They're 2-point favorites, not 2.5-point favorites based off of DraftKings. So I can.
So probably, it could have changed in the last,
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I kind of like Dallas.
Man, so here's my big hang up right now is the Bills are in we have to win every game to make the playoffs mode.
Yeah, but Dallas wants to try to get the 1 seed. And wants to stay ahead of the Eagles.
I have no I have no clue for this game, and I did the whole like big game, big implications, take the over. I don't know if I feel as good about that this time around.
It's high.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch anything with this game. I do like the Bills to win it, though. I don't know about covering, but I like
Josh
them to win.
Allen turns the ball over. Dallas forces turnovers. Dak's been playing more efficient. In Buffalo, though,
Is a Bildo going to make it onto the field? I think that's an important.
is it going to snow? Buffalo around this time of year gets. Will snowballs be flying at Cowboys fans? Because I would pay so much money for it to snow, a ton, and have the Bills fans absolutely pelt Cowboys fans.
No precipitation.
Damn it!
Projected for next weekend.
Damn it, Mother Nature.
I'm pissed by the way that the Bears Lions game didn't have snow too. I'll say that.
And that they wore grays. We were bound to lose.
I said,
pants.
Dude, I literally messaged you the minute that got announced, and I'm like, what are we doing?
We lost when that happened. That decision.
100%.
Shit, man. I think I like Dallas.
Okay. Baltimore at Jags.
What's your pick, John? You didn't say.
I said I like the Bills to win. I don't know how I feel about them covering.
Okay.
Baltimore at Jags. Jags are getting 3.5 points. Sunday Night Football.
Trevor, this is a good Sunday night matchup.
It is a good one. Big implications. I've obviously been big on the Baltimore train. And so I actually do feel like they're supposed to put this one away. Probably in decided fashion. But I also feel like the Jags are starting to feel pressure. I mean, Titans and Texans are starting to creep up on them a little bit. Shit, man. I like Baltimore to cover.
I like the Jags to cover.
And then we got Eagles at Seahawks. Seahawks are getting 3.5 points. I might say screw it and add Eagles to my best bets too. Yeah, let's do that. I don't think their Dallas game was a true sign of who they are, and I think they're going to prove that this coming week.
I agree with you, but I'm not putting in my best bets.
And that, Mark, would you like to recap your picks? You're a little lighter this time around than me.
I'm a little lighter, but I do love the picks that I have. I've got 3 picks for you this week.
We have no intersecting picks, by the way, this time.
No intersecting picks. I've got 3 picks for you. I'm 38-19 on the year in my best bets, so please trust me when I say last week was rough. This week, it gets brighter. It starts with the Chargers, okay, against the Raiders. Take the under there. The over. Over 33.5. Yeah, over 33.5. That's my first of my 3 best bets. Sorry, misspoke there. Then you got the Broncos, okay, against Detroit. I like them to cover the +5. I don't think Detroit's playing well. I think they match up pretty well against Detroit overall, and it's the Sean Payton against his former, assistants type of game. I just think Sean Payton figures it out, continues to go on the streak that they're on, and the Lions are falling apart right in front of us. And then the third one that I really like this week, okay, is the Browns. This is one of my favorite bets of the year. I might put everything that I have on this game responsibly. The Browns, 3-point favorites against the Bears. Justin Fields is going to turn the ball over. This Browns defense is menacing. Joe Flacco is Mr. Consistent. His heart rate never, ever goes above like a 50. Like, this guy doesn't care about anything ever. He just goes in there and just wins football games. So give me the Browns to beat the Bears. The Bears are not as good as they've been looking. There's no way. You can't convince me that they go in and execute against that defense. So that's my 3. Chargers, over. Broncos, +5. Bears to lose by more than 3.
All right. I like KC letting out some of their pent-up anger and aggression and little whiny baby temper tantrum on to the Patriots. They're going to win by more than 10 points. I like the Jets in a divisional matchup against the Dolphins to cover getting 12 points. It's a lot of points, and the Jets are a good defense, and the Dolphins just lost to a good defense in the Titans. I like LA covering 7 points. I think that they got something to prove. I think they're one of the better teams of the NFC, and no one's even talking about them. I like the Titans to cover 1.5 points against the Texans, who are going to be missing CJ Stroud and their 2 star receivers. And I like the Eagles, after getting absolutely smacked by Dallas, to go into the Seahawks and win that game by more than 3.5 points. And those are my picks. Everybody, thank you very much for sticking through this episode. A little bit longer today. Lots of good stuff to talk about. We talked about the future of NFL football in the lateral passes. We talked about some of our favorite touchdown celebrations. We recapped all the games in their entirety. Mark and I were watching a lot of football. We had a lot to say about it. And we looked ahead to next week. And apparently we love the board.
We gave you some winners. These picks are winners, man. Winning picks.
Not financial advice, but these are winners.
Gamble responsibly, and gambling responsibly, you know what that also is? It's just called winning. So just go and win your bets. It starts by riding with our picks. 38. What was I? 38-19? 37-19?
38-19. I'm
38-29. 38-19.
This is the week that I get above 500. I know it. I feel it.
This is the comeback of John Vogel. This episode, you heard it here. Episode 70, the comeback of John Vogel.
Let's go, baby. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. If you haven't followed us on social media, please do. And also, we have merchandise. If you are a fan of any team of the NFC North, we have hand-drawn designs that have gone on very, very nice quality merch. I am not gassing that up. We literally found the most expensive shit that you can mass-produce print stuff on, and that's what we went with because we want you guys to be comfortable in our merch. We want it to feel good. We want it to look good. You should click that store link below and check it out for yourself. Thank you very much. We are very close to 500 subscribers, which means that we can monetize this YouTube channel. So if you are listening to this, please help us get there and check out all of that short form content that we are posting throughout the week. Did I miss anything, Mark?
Bama's going to beat Michigan.
Shut up. We'll talk about this next week. You're wrong. Shut up. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See you guys.